diaclona.
Hello, hello. You may find us in a familiar looking field. We are in your walls, we are in your computers, and we are here today to read your hot takes. Me, Diaclona from Diaclona, and my good friend Nod from Bots Obsession. Hello, Nod.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for having the idea for this this entire video. And if you want to see both the first video and the one that we did together, the collaboration on his channel, you can either hit the iCard or check the link in the description for that. First hot take from Damien Yelvatron on YouTube. Micromasters or Minicons should be a part of every Transformers line. They're perfect pocket toys and can be made relatively inexpensively. And also more Transformers should glow in the dark. Micromasters and Minicons, I 100% agree with that. I love tiny Transformers. I think the Siege Micromasters were not a great show, but the mini-cons that we've gotten in a couple sets lately have been amazing, and I really hope we get more of them.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't handling Micromasters right now. Literally have Iron Tread in my hand, and I love the little play sets. Please bring back modulators.
Oh my god, please,
100%.
yes. Yeah, I would have loved, I know we got like Omega Supreme and he came with Countdown or whatever, but I would have loved if we got some updates to the G1 Micromaster bases.
Could we please get deluxe size modulator versions of the Titans too? Those.
Oh my god, yeah, that would be amazing. And then we could get a Scorponok that's in scale with the comics.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, comic edition Scorponok would hit so hard. But also, I do worry that like small type Transformers are just not selling well because like they're killing core class.
I think it has to do with collector lines and things, and we know that they got rid of Micromasters because apparently they didn't sell well, which is weird because the fandom seems to regard them really well. It seems like they might be relegating Micromasters to be multi-packed or something like that, and I think if they did like new modulators that included a Micromaster, kind of like the old G1 ones, that would be the perfect way to distribute them.
Absolutely,
and then do like packs of like 3 or 4.
And the glow in the dark, I don't know, I feel like it would be cool. Like what Transformers do you want to glow in the dark?
I feel like that's like a G2 gimmick.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. It'd have to be like almost like a rub sign or like a spark crystal or something.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that a glow in the dark spark crystal would hit for sure. But it definitely feels on par with like, yeah, if you put water on this one, it'll change colors.
Get your toys wet, kids.
From Cosmos Enjoyer on Instagram, Transformers 1 is a terrible movie title. I low-key agree with this. When I first heard the announcement for it like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was filled with nothing but dread because it sounded like it would be garbage.
It's one of those titles where you're like, it's really, this went through approval.
Yeah, it's like the Xbox One, because now if you want to refer to the original Xbox, you got to say the original Xbox, because you can't say the Xbox One, because that could be the first Xbox or the. I hate that. I hate that titling convention. I agree 100% with this, but I think they could bring it around if like the focus of the movie ends up being like unity, we are one till all are one. If that's the reason it's titled that, I think that could be really good. From MaxMC55 on Instagram, Energon has the best toy line out of the Unicron trilogy. That is a pretty spicy one. I definitely think Energon has an incredible toy line. There are some legitimate classics in there, like the Bulkhead and the Landmine. I think there is a place for Big Chubby Optimus Prime. I do love Dadbot Optimus Prime.
Scorponok as well.
Oh yeah, Scorponok, if not for his shattering shoulders, he'd be an all-timer for sure.
I'm a Cybertron stan myself. I love cyber keys and collecting them and spring-loaded things that can shatter and poke me in the eye.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of inclined to agree with you. I think Cybertron might be a little bit better. I think also the Cybertron toys are a little closer to modern. Like I feel like we got more actual articulation out of them than the Energon. Energon was still a little bit brick-like. Like it was definitely a middle ground between Armada and Cybertron, which like it literally was, but also in an engineering sense, it did feel a little bit like growing pains still.
I like some of the stuff we got from Energon, but I like the Omnicons specifically. I remember having a lot of fun with those as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd throw it in my top 10 toy lines list.
From Quinn the Quesadilla Reviews on YouTube, not sure how controversial this is, but I think the War for Cybertron trilogy peaked at Siege. Earthrise was mid besides Optimus, and Kingdom's beasts were janky. Siege was peak Fight Me, and then in a similar vein from Dino Vio on Instagram, a lot of the Kingdom or Legacy beasts kind of suck.
I like Siege. I'll defend Siege because I think it was a good start to a bad trilogy.
Okay, interesting. So would you say you agree with their point then?
I actually think Kingdom is the best out of the trilogy.
Okay.
I know that might not be great, but I think it goes. I think Siege is okay. Earthrise is awful, and then Kingdom came back and was good. It did the best with what it had to follow that trilogy, and there's a lot of things in there. Like, I love Paranoid Starscream, and I think the way they introduced the Beast Wars cast. I'm not a Beast Wars guy. They made me sort of care about the Beast Wars stuff, so.
So you're talking more about like the actual lore than the figures.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I was.
About the show.
Oh no, yeah,
Whoa.
no. I wasn't even speaking on the show. No, it's all good. No, that's a good. I'm glad we have that opinion out there too. How do you feel about the toy lines then?
Siege is good, but yeah, I don't know. I like the Sideswipe better than the Kingdom one.
It's so minimally different.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it makes a world of difference when he can see over his chest.
You know what? You got me there. I think, and I say this as someone who has all of the Siege Seekers, I don't think there has ever been a mold that has been milked harder than the Sideswipe body type. There are so many of them.
I know, I own way too many of them as a diaclone collector.
Yeah, no, me too. I have all the diaclone updates, and it's ridiculous how many are just, hey, here's Sideswipe, but it's a cop. Hey, here's Sideswipe, but it's a cop undercover. Hey, here's Sideswipe. You got Ectotron.
But he's yellow.
Yeah, here's Sideswipe, but he's yellow. You got Ectotron, or not Ectotron, what's it called? The back
Gigawatt.
to the Gigawatt, yeah. And then we're getting another one, and I'm gonna buy it because it's Armada. We're getting Wheeljack.
I hate how many times they've made me buy that mold.
Yeah.
They made me do it.
Literally, it's a good mold. Like, it's fun, but it's not that fun.
Just give it a wrist swivel, please.
Oh my god, yeah. Outside of the Sideswipe mold, I think I would agree that Siege is probably the best of the trilogy. Although I think it's best like as a whole, but I think the highs of Kingdom are better than the highs of Siege. Because Kingdom Cyclonus, that design is one of the best figures ever. Kingdom Rodimus bangs. There's some real gems in there, but I do agree that a lot of I think the Beast Wars fans really got shafted. Like, I don't think Cheetor is very good. I didn't even want Rhinox after seeing all the reviews for him.
Very interesting. I'm an Earthrise stan.
You like the Earthrise toy line?
I think Earthrise is the best out of the three.
That's
I think the retools. I think the retools were peak. I know distribution sucked, but I think like that era of Gen Selects, Studio Series 86 was that was Kingdom was 86. But like the Netflix stuff that came out, the Earthrise stuff that was coming out, and it might just be me because that's really when I went hard in on collecting was Earthrise. But I a good chunk of my collection, and it's all Earthrise toolings or characters.
Okay, I'll give you that. It definitely had a lot of bangers for sure, but I think first of all, Earthrise Megatron is a travesty, and I am so tired of it. Give us a Megatron with wrist swivels, please. Now we have a little bit of a variety of comments all about the Bayverse from Clown's Teeth on Instagram. The only good/memorable parts of the Bayverse movies are when the Transformers, especially Megatron, are being hot, and that's literally it. And then they swiped up again to say that and how mad they made me because of how bad the writing was, I guess. From Metal Smile 2000 on YouTube, Transformers wouldn't be what it is now if it weren't for the Bay films. And then from Not So Alex on YouTube, Bayverse revived TF but forever cast it in a shadow of racist, jingoistic, creepily sexual tones. And then finally from Transformers Stories, the Bayverse is never getting a proper ending, and that's a good thing.
This is a lot of things to take in all at once.
I would agree with Metal Smiles saying that Transformers wouldn't be what it is now if it weren't for the Bay films, because you cannot deny the cultural impact that especially the 07 movie had. Like, it made all of the money, it revived the franchise after a real dry spell, but Not So Alex hit the nail on the head entirely. Racist, jingoistic, and creepily sexual are three of the best ways to describe the Bay movies. I think you can enjoy the action scenes for what they are, but they are just such a slog, and they are so deeply unpleasant so often.
I think there's a level of thank you or gratitude we have to give the Bay films as fans, because if Transformers didn't sell all those Bumblebees, we would not have gotten the is like the Hunt for the Decepticon toy line, or those Scout classes from Revenge of the Fallen. Like everything that like I think the modern Transformers fan is really nostalgic for is because of those movies. And
for sure,
100%, we would not have legacy. Like we wouldn't be where we are without it.
Any dissenting opinions on the Bayverse, or are you a big Bayverse defender?
I'm not a Bayverse defender. I can just look at I know what it did, and I can look at it and say thank you. Please don't touch my hand.
Oh, that's the best way to put it. Yeah, no, I would not want the Bayverse to touch my hand or be in the same room as me. It's very stinky. And it probably has a couple of things on its record that I would not want to be associated with.
You send it a birthday card, but you don't invite it to your party.
Correct, 100%. It is the creepy uncle in the corner who also bankrolls you. And I think the Bayverse is never getting a proper ending, and that's a good thing. I agree 100%. I am so sick of Lorenzo trying to claim that everything is a sequel to the Bayverse or everything's a prequel to the Bayverse. It died with The Last Night. It should not have connected to Bumblebee at all, and it should remain dead in the ground where they put it.
I will say, I think legit, like this is a take that I will die on this hill. Lorenzo ruined Bumblebee by having him turn into the Camaro at the end.
Yes.
That is the worst scene in the whole movie.
Yes. I would say that's probably the only bad scene in the whole movie.
It's so stupid and pointless. It's like he doesn't need to do that. Like, as a Camaro enjoyer, I love the fact that I can go to the store and buy a Transformer that turns into one of my favorite cars ever. That's awesome. It's one of the only reasons I bought Studio Series Bumblebee. But I didn't need to do that in that movie. He was a Volkswagen, and we finally got what we wanted. And the dude who owns Leica made a really great movie, and Lorenzo had to dip his Gouda-dipped finger all in Bumblebee and swirl it around and be like, I'm gonna put some Bayverse in here.
I'm so grateful that that was all he did to Bumblebee, because I think Rise of the Beasts really shows what happens when a director's vision is completely interfered with. Because I really liked Rise of the Beasts. All of the bad or middling parts of that movie are 100% because Stephen Caple was not given the creative freedom that he should have had.
I honestly don't see almost any flaws with Rise of the Beasts. I'll take that stand.
Oh, okay.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love Bumblebee. I love Rise of the Beast. So anything that made Rise of the Beast good, and 100% it was Stephen Caple Jr. being able to do as much as he did. I think the fact that the vocal cast was having so much fun with the characters was a benefit to it. It's great, and I'm glad that we got it. I'm glad that Stephen Caple basically gave the middle finger to Lorenzo and was like, nope, it's a Bumblebee sequel, and we're putting Unicron in it, so you can't say it's a sequel or a prequel or whatever.
From Christopher Fernandez 4248 on YouTube, I like the weathered looking plastic of Studio Series 112. And for those who don't know, that is the Transformers 1 Deluxe Optimus. If you've seen my review, you know that I do not agree with this take. I think that shade of like brownish, it's so unpleasant. It's such a deeply unpleasant color.
I saw him in the toy aisle for the first time the other day, and he's right next to the Prime Changer one.
Oh man!
And my immediate thought was, I want the little one more. I want the smaller, nicer one better.
Yeah, even ignoring the engineering, the Prime Changers one looks so crispy. It looks so shiny and nice. And yeah, like, I mean, the comment says the weathered looking plastic. I feel like that doesn't look weathered. I feel like that shade just looks like mucusy. It's so unpleasant.
One of the takes I actually shared with my friends about that figure came from your video, where you compared how his faceplate is like that nice kind of blue-gray look, and that the rest of the figure should have been that color. 100%. Seeing it in person, it's like, oh yeah, why isn't he all like that?
From MC Figs on Instagram, friend of the channel, Skybound is the best Transformers has ever been in terms of comics or shows or movies.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Just to straight up agree.
I don't know how else. It's the most Transformers has been in a long time. Daniel Warren Johnson knows how to write those characters.
See, I'm just so tentative to give it that title when there is so little of it yet. We don't know how the rest of the issues are going to resolve. We don't know if it's going to be a satisfying ending. So I would say like
a reserved optimism.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, reserved optimism is a very good way to put it, because I do have faith in Daniel Warren Johnson. I am kind of glad that he's stopping after 24 issues, because I'm glad he knows where his story ends. So it's not going to get dragged out unnecessarily. I would say as of yet, the first however many issues we're at, Skybound is probably the best Transformers has ever been. I think I agree with that. I want to see what the universe has to offer from here.
Skybound has referred to their 6-issue arcs as seasons,
Oh,
and we're
okay.
almost done with season 2 right now. I would say in terms of Transformers shows that have gone for 2 seasons, Skybound is up there.
Yeah,
Skybound
no.
is really good, even though it's a comic book.
Because it's only getting better. It's on a steady upward curve, which is what makes me more paranoid about it dropping off at some point. Because I feel like with art you can only get so good, you know. From Alicia Feich on YouTube, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Toy lines since 2020 are all the same and boring. They use the most effective engineering to get to accurate bot to accurate alt, and completely forget that these are meant to be fun. Old toys are way more fun and interesting. That's a really spicy take.
Ooh, there's a little bit in there that I agree with, and it sounds like a positive where they're like, oh, it uses the best engineering to get the best of the modes, and it's like, yeah, that's what I want.
I don't know if I agree with this necessarily. I do think there is a certain level of homogeny. None of the lines really feel so unique anymore.
Yeah.
Like it used to be, you go to Bayverse and you get, oh, these all feel spindly and interesting and there's a lot of panels. You go to Generations and it's, ooh, these are cool updates kind of thing. But I think definitely now, like, especially looking over at my shelves, like the Minibot shelf, there's Earthrise, there's Kingdom, there's Siege, there's Studio Series 86, there's Legacy, like all of those lines are basically interchangeable. And I don't think there is very much variance in design style, but I don't even know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Maybe boring. Boring is fair.
I would argue also, so because you just rattled off like, you know, all the War for Cybertron trilogy and the Legacy trilogy, which they share a design aesthetic. Sort of same thing with Studio Series 86. This comment specifically calls out since 2020, which is about Siege.
Right.
But the Prime Wars trilogy was also super homogenized. And I know that's a trilogy, so it's supposed to be, you know, interchangeable with each other. But we've seen this before, even to the point where like Transformers 2010, that pre-Thrilling 30 era, they are fairly homogenous with the Thrilling 30 figures. Same thing with some of the Prime stuff from that era as well, because anything that shares a mold between toy lines, I think, blurs that line. And
yeah.
I think we just see it now more than ever because the molds are so good.
Yeah.
These figures are really, really good. So of course they're going to reuse what they can to save costs to get us the best they can do.
And I'm curious this is not any shade to Alicia Feich. When the last time you played with like an Armada toy is, because I have some on the shelf and I take them down from time to time. They're fun, but they're definitely bricks. I don't know if I would say they're more interesting. I think from a gimmick, if you're into gimmicks, they have the upper hand. Like all the spring-loaded stuff, all the missiles, all the lights and sounds. And so I can get why losing those elements might make it seem more boring, but I don't think I agree with this take necessarily.
A crazy thing that I think we forget as collectors is all those gimmick toys still exist. You
Yeah.
just have to go to the movie toy lines or whatever, or the show toy lines. You just have to go somewhere else, just not Legacy.
Yeah, like Earthspark, I mean, they're shelf warming. Nobody wants them, but they have plenty of them.
If you're looking for gimmick and fun in the same vein as those old Unicron trilogy era toys, go check out some of the movie toy lines.
One of my favorite sublines right now is the mainline stuff for movies. Like it started with Rise of the Beasts. All of those mainline figures, well, most of them are incredible. I love them. And the Prime Changers for TF1 are some of my favorite pickups of the year. And I think they feel distinct from the Generations figures, the Chug stuff. And they're simple, they're fun, they're pretty much pocket-sized. I would say if you're looking to scratch that childhood itch a little, go for the Prime Changers. This one comes from Mio Mio Arts, good friend of the channel and friend of Nod, obviously. Hot take, I think we need more modern fembots for the main cast, or just more/different fembots in general.
Oh yeah, we need to introduce Flame War and Strika as like the standout
Please.
Decepticon girlies.
Yeah, bring back Clobber. I think this is one thing that GoBots undoubtedly did better, is that some of them were girls and some of them were guys and it didn't matter. I just don't understand what the hang up is. Like, oh, we need to explain No, you don't. You don't need to explain it. Just some of them are girls, some of them are guys. It doesn't matter.
It's one of those things where I feel like Transformers, they seem to be leaning into it a little bit more now with Alita 1 seemingly joining the main Autobot cast.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, it's not just RC anymore.
Yeah, and even to a degree, like, they started gender swapping the Seekers, some of the Seekers for the Decepticon side, which I think is weird when Slipstream exists.
Yeah.
and they don't use her. But yeah, it seems like they're trying to introduce more girls onto and more with Nightshade. You know, they're trying to include everything they can
Yeah.
onto both factions, which is exciting, and I think it's good for the brand to expand that way.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Nightshade and like gender non-conforming kind of stuff later. I have some takes with that as well. From Martino Iacchino on Instagram, non-transforming figures are a necessary niche for designs that cannot transform with limited kibble. I feel like with the introduction of YOLO Park into officially having the Transformers license, this is more true than it's ever been.
You know, we've seen it before with the Flame Wars, not the Flame Wars, the Flame Toys IDW model kits, and even like Blokies and the mini deluxe stuff. We're not just Transformers Red right now. If you want a good looking representation of a character, especially a G1 character, you have the world to pick from right now.
I think the Transformers Red line really set back views on non-transforming toys. Like, it kind of sent us back to Action Masters bad because they don't transform. No, they're bad because they're not good action figures. But if you want like legitimately good non-transforming Transformers, YOLO Park goes crazy right now. Like, that Scourge looks so much better than the Studio Series one. I've pre-ordered all of the cogless TF1 kits, which, you know, first ever non-transforming Transformers that are accurate to being non-transforming. So
I never thought about that.
yeah, no, that's why I'm so excited for those. Yeah, YOLO Park's putting out great stuff. If you like the chibi stuff, Blockies and isn't there another one?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, there's Blockies, there's another chibified one. Yeah, they are Transformers. Oh, what's the point of a Transformer that doesn't transform? You know, you can get higher quality figures out of it because there's always going to be some level of compromise if the figure transforms. From WTH Not Available on Instagram, Transformers works better in either comics or animation, not live action. That is spicy for the Bayverse fans, probably.
I love this take, and I almost wholeheartedly agree with this. We've seen it enough times where, like, the live action stuff, I think part of it is the cost to animate these things whenever it's live action, because Transformers are complex models to if they're not just flat slabs. So having everything be animated and being able to write that way where everything costs the same works in its favor, because then you don't have to think, okay, well, we don't have the budget for Optimus Prime to deploy his sword and slash down, you know, whatever Decepticon goon is there. You know, instead it's just like, okay, it's just all, this is the budget for this episode, we can do this.
Yeah, like, you know how I knew Unicron wasn't gonna eat the planet in Rise of the Beasts? Because I know they don't have that money. They don't have the money to eat the Earth. And I think even just like storytelling potential, I feel like comic writers are given more freedom than animated show makers or animated movie makers. I feel like they're less beholden to studio execs. I'm not saying there's no interference, obviously there is, but like we've seen with More Than Meets the Eye and with Skybound that if an author is given like pretty much free reign to do what they want and it's a good writer and they're trusted, then they can crank out some really incredible pieces of work that work on levels that we haven't seen in the fandom before.
You want the best example of this, pick up the Skybound Transformers issue 2, and you can see what a writer who knows what he's doing and isn't beholden to the Hollywood constraints can give us.
I've heard arguments like, oh, but it can't be as cool in comics. Are you kidding me? Have you read the You Know the Song moment in Skybound?
Oh,
get out of here.
That killed me.
That was I was pogging up. From Glarbion Eater of Worlds on Instagram, love the username by the way. The new Godzilla XTF variants are awesome. Hard disagree.
No. I like the Nightwatch Prime look, but no.
I think they look cool. But as a fan, as like a pretty casual fan of Godzilla, I'm pretty disappointed we didn't get like an actual crossover new mold and stuff.
I was really hoping that, like, because I heard there was a Godzilla thing in the works. I'm like, oh, they could use Dragon Megatron or T-Rex Megatron and retool them a little bit. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm down with this, even though I don't really, jive with the Beast Wars molds. The that Jurassic Park crossover Beast Wars guy was really cool.
Yeah.
So maybe this will work. And then it's just Grimlock with Sludge's head.
Yeah.
And it's
Also,
like, uh-oh.
a truck.
It blows my mind they didn't pick Brunt, who is literally a Mazer tank.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Also, you saying use one of the beast molds. Imagine, hear me out, come with me on this journey. The T-Rex mold from Kingdom as Godzilla as Optimus.
Yes.
Then Transmetal 2 Megatron retooled with 3 heads. King Ghidorah Megatron.
Exactly. Like,
it would
kill.
It
would have worked so well. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me that Optimus is the villain character.
Yeah, because Kiryu's kind of the antagonist of that continuity. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Kiryu is bad. He's not a good guy.
Yeah, very, very weird choice. I'm kind of hopeful that, because, you know, it's like under the new Takara subline that's giving us like the Bingo Toys drag racing Optimus or whatever, where all they do is like retools and repaints. I'm hoping that maybe eventually, because this isn't collaborative series. I know if it was collaborative series, we would have gotten new molds, but maybe one day, hopefully, we can get a collaborative series Godzilla stuff, because this, I mean, I can complain about it. I'm probably still gonna buy it.
It's just sad to think we could have had a Transformer with a Godzilla head as a fusion cannon.
The molds are fun, and I like how they look, even though I'm sick of Laser Prime, and I have all 4, soon to be all 5, but there's so much potential that was thrown away by making these just repaints. What a weird... They're just so weird. I think weird is the best way to describe those figures. It's so confusing to look at. From Douglas525 Fresh on Instagram, Dark of the Moon is the best live-action movie, Bumblebee movie taking extremely close second. How do you feel about this?
I do like Dark of the Moon. Out of the Bayverse, it is my favorite. Bumblebee is leagues better, though.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking the truth.
Rise of the Beasts, I'll say it now. Rise of the Beasts is my favorite. Bumblebee is next, and then Dark of the Moon. As much as I like Dark of the Moon, and it has a Goo Goo Dolls song in it, so, you know, instant bonus points for that.
Good point.
But I can't say it's better than Bumblebee.
I am very much not a Bayverse defender. I think Dark of the Moon's probably second best Bayverse. I think the first movie is still the most watchable. I think it's the least annoying. I think it has the most like wonder in it. Like that, I think about the scene in the alley where they're all first transforming for the first time. That's an incredible kind of awe-inspiring moment.
That is.
I think Dark of the Moon probably has more spectacle and more scope and more chaos, but I don't think it's better. Although it does get points for having Leonard Nimoy as Sentinel Prime. From Prince of Brains, my good friend Tim, he says, "It's not fun actually transforming them anymore. Unicron Trilogy is complex as it should get." Oh, Tim.
Maybe you should just get good.
Yeah, Tim, respectfully, with all the love in the world, skill issue. I have a lot of love for the Unicron Trilogy. I legitimately grew up on it, but you couldn't get a Kingdom Cyclonus in the Unicron Trilogy. The engineering has come so far, and it's not like transformations are all nightmares. Like, I feel like they're pretty straightforward still most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, like Skids is just a Dotson, and Jazz is also just a Dotson.
Yeah.
Like, if you look, and then there's Beachcomber. Legacy Beachcomber is nothing. He just lays down and flips his legs. He puts his toes up like he's on the phone call in the 80s.
And not to call Tim out too much, but I know for a fact that he is more of a displayer than a player. So what would you know about them not being fun anymore? You don't even transform them.
Someone get this man a RID01 sideburn.
It's so funny that you say that. Wait, do you know him?
No.
It's so funny that you say that. That's his favorite Transformer.
No way!
Yes, Sideburn.
Complaining about complexity, but Sideburn's his favorite?
Okay, but it's for like nostalgia reasons. Okay, I'm gonna stop roasting Tim. He is my friend, but I want to stop roasting him. From the rest of us 3506 on YouTube, first take is us trans women deserve free Transformers toys for life. I cannot disagree with that. I would very much enjoy that. But no, their actual hot take is that I think human characters are an important part of Transformers, and removing them in any story that takes place on Earth just negates a big part of the series. And then in a similar vein, Treebot Reviews, also on YouTube, said human interaction is a pivotal part of Transformers story's progression, since the franchise originally was about robots living in our world. And the series doesn't work without humans. The War for Cybertron trilogy kind of proved that. I don't think I agree, like, at all.
I think the War for Cybertron trilogy didn't work because it was bad.
Correct. Very correct.
I think that if they are on Earth, that yes, I think having a human element should work. But I also think that if you need to pair them with appropriate human companions, like in how Skybound's doing it, is they've rewritten the Spike and Sparkplug from mechanics to their brother was a Vietnam veteran. The dad is a mechanic, and Spike is kind of this like, you know, wide-eyed guy who's in awe of it. And I love that. I think that if you pair them with children, like in Transformers Prime and animated, you get a lesser story because of it.
I agree with that. I think the reason I so disagree with this take is because the Bay movies have soured me on human characters so much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to talk about Mr. Age of Consent from Age of Extinction. But like Mark Wahlberg was insufferable. Shia LaBeouf was fun for a time and then very much less fun. I think in Bumblebee, like Charlie's very likable. I think Noah Diaz
I like Charlie.
Yeah, I think Noah Diaz is super likable and memorable. I think for the most part, human characters have been more misses than hits in the franchise so far.
Do you have a favorite human in like Transformers media?
It might be Charlie, but that might just be because I get gender envy from her. Oh, I will say I also have a massive soft spot for the Maltos from Earthspark. I think the dad is really funny, and he definitely wants to do unspeakable things to Bumblebee. From Neo Zerg on Instagram, I'm not a big fan of slavish devotion to the G1 animation accuracy in toys. I agree 100% with this. I think that a lot of third-party companies fall into this trap, and it makes their products so samey. Like, if you showed me a picture of like Fans Toys, X-Transbots, even their names are all the same. I can't remember what the other ones are called, but like that Masterpiece style scale, just the same 5 characters over and over again. It's so uninteresting. And in the case of things like X-Transbots can be so complicated and frustrating to transform that it's not even fun as a toy.
Continuing off the third party deal, I'm a big Fans Project and Iron Factory fan because they look different. They're interesting. I think that there's a weird, you see it in the fandom a lot, there's a weird like nostalgia for the classics era things, and I think people really want to see what like that same design philosophy of what if Transformers but today is like. And I would love to see Optimus Prime turn into a Volvo. I want to see that. I want to see you know, Bumblebee turn into a Volkswagen, the new ugly Volkswagen Beetle. I want to see this. Give me these modern cars. I like it when Transformers just turn into a car.
I think my favorite third parties are also people like Fans Project, like Make Toys, and they're unfortunately the ones that appear to be either dead or in limbo, because I feel like there's a lack of popularity for things that aren't just slaves to G1. Okay, from Sammy DeGoober on Instagram, I prefer a big chunk of the Bayverse designs over the G1 designs, including Optimus.
I think that is an opinion, and they are entitled to it. I think the Bayverse designs I think some of them are cool. I really like Sideswipe. I think Sideswipe looks Blake, and I like that he uses the rear of the car as his chest. It's like an invert.
I think there's a lot of great ideas, for sure.
There's some cool stuff, specifically from like the first movie and the Revenge of the Fallen toy line, mainly in the Scout class and those weirdos who actually don't make it in the movie.
Yeah.
But I think when you get down to like the Dark of the Moon and onward designs, it starts to look a little rough, and I lose interest. I
think we disagree there, actually, because I find, aside from what you mentioned, like the nobody characters, like, do you remember the Real Gear guys, like the little gorilla who was a controller? Those were great. But as far as like the main characters, I found them too weird and spider-like and creepy. I really liked, for all of its faults, Age of Extinction. I love the main Autobot cast. They all are unique and distinct looking. I know it's stupid, but Transformer with a trench coat and Transformer with a beard are peak design for me.
Okay, I love Transformers with beards. I will say Hound Hound, and by association, like Thundertron, Alpha Trion, those
Yeah.
dudes who got like the wire facial hair. Like,
Yeah.
yes, give me more of that. That is
Yeah.
genius level design.
It really is just a difference of opinion. I don't think this is a right take or a wrong take. You have your preferences, but that said, you're wrong. I have the first take from Ruby Gooby on YouTube. I don't get the insane glaze for some of the Classics figures. Like, some people say Classics Bumblebee is the best Bumblebee figure ever, and I just don't really get it, to be honest. He's a little dude in a big hoodie with a jetpack.
If you don't get it, then that's why you think it's bad.
If
you don't think Bumblebee with a hoodie and a goatee is cool.
Oh, I hate the goatee. I don't think that works on Bumblebee at all. That chin is so
I love
ugly.
him. I love it. He just like me for real.
Yeah, I can't argue with the jetpack though. That accessory is one of the most befuddling pieces of plastic in my collection.
He's a prime. He has a trailer.
I definitely see the point about a lot of glazing on classic figures. I think there are some that deserve it. Like Mirage is incredible. Hound is still pretty good today, even with the Siege and the multi-pack version. But some of those are definitely showing their age. Like the Voyager Optimus, like it doesn't even have wrists.
The Classics Prime mold, while it is a great design, and please give me a legacy update to that figure, please.
Oh my god, yeah.
I do think that it is a bit ancient and getting there. Same with the Megatron. That Megatron's a mess. The Sideswipe Sunstreaker mold, while that was like peak engineering back in the day, it's wibbly. Have you handled it recently? It's not good.
No, but I remember I didn't even like it when I was a kid. I had no fun with it.
But yeah, no. What we get now?
Ratchet and Ironhide.
Oh.
You want to talk about Ratchet and Ironhide?
I think he just did psychic damage.
Yeah. No, it's
ooh. Yeah, Classics has some real bangers like Hound, Mirage, Bumblebee. I will defend Prowl. I'll die on the hill that he's a good toy.
He's pretty good. Yeah, I remember him.
I like him. He has the little. He's cool.
Yeah.
I like him.
I always wanted the Jetfire. Is he worth getting?
Oh, Classics Jetfire is great.
Yeah, I've always wanted him.
Toys I had as a kid, I wish I still had.
Oh.
Number 1, Jetfire.
Damn.
But yeah, no, like there's some bangers, but there's definitely some stuff that you know the modern take is better. The good thing is toys don't expire, so
yeah,
you know, get what you like.
Get what you like, although it'll probably be triple to quadruple the price. From Elira on YouTube, Earthspark is the best piece of media the franchise has ever come out with. More TF shows and comics need to actually be personable with the characters, instead of the usual, and this is exactly what they wrote, Ga, Ma, War, Bad, Wa, Gub. A salient
like
point, well put. Yeah, I like it too. But best piece of media ever?
That's a rough one. That's a hard call.
Like, I loved season 1. And even if we're only talking about season 1, like there's still that episode where all they do is chase the cow around.
I like the world building. I think season 1 is interesting to a point. I can pinpoint the exact part where it loses me. There's some really good stuff in Earthspark. Like anytime I talk about Earthspark, I tell people like you have to watch the Tarantulas Nightshade episode.
Oh my god, yeah.
Best. It not only expands those guys, but it also like adds to the lore of like why Transformers pick their alt modes, why they turn into what they turn into, and it's really interesting, especially if you have been following, like if you watched the entire show up to that point and you kind of watched, you know, Nightshade and Jawbreaker kind of talk about not getting alt modes.
There is some incredible stuff there, but it's not the best one. All the love in the world. There's, I mean, again, we go back to Glazing Skybound. I'm trying to. Are any of the other shows better? Cyberverse is pretty good.
Shockingly, Cyberverse is really well done. Another show that has really good world building in it. Yeah.
I think the best is Glazing, but it's very good. Season 1 was very good. And you know what? While we're talking about Earthspark, let us dive into something that you sent me from yours. You wanted to pass this one off to me because it's a gay take, and I am gay. So, one of the comments from Lily0704E on your YouTube video, well, they had a lot of takes, but the last one was, there's absolutely fucking nothing wrong with Nightshade, followed immediately by Fulcrum Agent saying, identity politics doesn't belong in Transformers, that shouldn't be unpopular. I have so many feelings about that take. First of all, to the comment from Lily07, you are 100% correct. I appreciate your comment. There is nothing wrong with Nightshade. And also, side note, not just a diversity character. Like, the right wing will have you believing that all they do is talk about their pronouns. It's like mentioned because it's an important part of their character, but they're also just like the shut-in nerd. Like, they have things that they do. They're smart and they're creative and they're kind of aloof. They're a little bit autistic coded, which is awesome. Like, they're a person outside of their sexuality. So not wanting identity politics in Transformers, are you living in the 1980s? Do you want them to just be buzz, war, good, bad? If there's no identities, what is there to care about? What do you want? Do you want to just watch the Bay movies mindlessly? Do you just want to rewatch them shooting each other and decapitating each other? The identity politics is some of the most compelling human stuff in Transformers. It is the stuff that shows that they're not just machines. Like, these are real beings with hearts and spirits and identities and loves and fears. And I can't imagine wanting to excise that compelling part of the story. Just what? Because you're afraid of somebody who wants to go by they, them? Respectfully, with all the love in the world, grow up.
I love listening to just this go off. I think I've said that I think Nightshade is a really interesting character because Terrans in general are interesting.
Yeah.
They're Cybertronian and they're Earth, like they're Earthlings to a degree. And I think that it's really interesting that we get a character, Cybertronians for the most part, in my own head, I perceive them as really just using pronouns because it is something Earth people do and it's infected their culture. Whereas like someone who has that knowledge of Cybertronian history and someone who has this influx of Earth history and is from both worlds wouldn't necessarily see gender in the same way that either of their halves initially do,
Yeah.
So to me it makes a lot of sense. Nightshade makes a lot of sense on how they get their pronouns, where they're coming from. I'm probably phrasing everything poorly, but I would love to see a storyline where Nightshade like goes through like a thing where they're like a self-discovery arc. And I know we kind of get that in an episode, but I would like to see like a comic book or something where it shows me a little bit more on how they perceive Transformer gender politics. I would love to see that because we don't see that really.
Yeah. And I think that's where Earthspark is limited by being a kids show, because it's very much entry level. There are trans people in the world. Here's how you should introduce yourself. Here's how you respect their pronouns, kind of thing, which is good for kids watching. But it definitely could benefit from a more adult take on gender identity and such.
I will say, like you mentioned that like people are like, oh, all Nightshade does is mention their pronouns. Oh, that's all Nightshade does. But and one of my initial complaints was like every time Nightshade meets someone, they say their pronouns, and me as a watcher, I was like, I already know them. But then I rewatched rewatching season 1, I was like, oh, they only say it when they're introducing themselves to someone. Which if I am a child and I've never been exposed to that style of conversation where it's like, hey, I'm whoever, these are my pronouns, this makes sense. This is now introduced that way of introducing yourself, in a normal and organic fashion. And I was like, okay, this, like, it made sense on the second watch.
Yeah.
Just like as a viewer binge watching the show, I was like, yes, Nightshade, I know, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think the only place they really dropped the ball as far as introduction to gender stuff is that when Nightshade introduced themselves, the people that they were meeting should have, and the robots that they were meeting, the other Transformers, should have also introduced themselves with their pronouns. Because that way it would teach, even if you're not a trans person or a gender non-conforming person, that, to normalize it.
The only other thing that's wrong with the scene is Optimus calls them Nightshade, and then Nightshade gets a little sad and is like, well, I'm they, them. And I was like, that's a little bit of a weird way to do it, but okay.
Yeah, because Optimus, without hesitation, introduces the other two with a male pronoun and a female pronoun. And then he's like, oh, what's this one? Which is sending a little bit of a weird message.
I was like, yeah, that combined with the. Have you heard the theory that Optimus dead names Bumblebee by calling him B in Rise of the Beasts?
No.
Yeah, so
Oh my, wait, I didn't even think about that.
Bumblebee is his human name. That was given to him by Charlie. He's B-127. Optimus only calls him B in Rise of the Beasts.
Oh man, I never thought about that. So
there's a theory that he's dead naming Bumblebee.
We are canceling Optimus Prime. I think I speak for the entire trans community. Optimus Prime is canceled.
Live on Diaclona.
From The Real Gloptic on YouTube, faux parts are necessary for series accurate figures. I agree 100%. I think the complaints about, oh, well, it's supposed to look like his windshield, but it ends up on the underside. If you go the full accuracy route, you're just gonna end up with, one of the modes is gonna be disproportionate. There's no way to avoid that. Because
you're gonna get worse toys.
Yeah, the animation models are funky. Like, there's no way they can physically happen like that in plastic. Now we move into Ruby Gooby's second take. Megatron being a gun in G1 sucks, and G1ers need to accept that he literally can't be one due to laws, which brings me to a whole section of Megatron alt mode takes. From Luke IC148 on Instagram, tank Megatron better than gun Megatron. From Galt6546 on YouTube, helicopter Megatron best Megatron, looking at you animated. From Capitan101 on Instagram, Megatron as a tank works better than him being a gun or a plane or a helicopter. And from Nobody Here 8257 on YouTube, tank Megatron sucks, helicopter supremacy. So
everyone who says he should be a helicopter is based.
Yeah, there's very clearly not a consensus in the fandom on what he should be, but I do agree that gun Megatron, even if you like it, even if you think it's cool, you have to acknowledge that it's never gonna happen again, and it is outdated, and it does not work in the modern world.
It's just one of those things where it's like, if you want Gun Megatron, first of all, Gun Megatron doesn't work with the other figures in your collection. He's not going to do the thing that you want him to do, which is have Starscream hold him.
The only time Starscream holds Sorry.
No, go for it. I was trying to think of a similar joke.
Oh. Yeah, no, the only time Starscream holds Megatron in any appreciable way is in my fanfiction, which you should check out. It's linked in the description. Thank you.
The way you solve the Megatron gun issue is you just include his G1 gun mode as an accessory. And then all the figures can hold Megatron gently and finger his trigger.
I will say, one of the modes that I am a little bit of a diehard for, that I don't really see many people talking about, I think a turret would be the perfect update, because you could just you could have it have the like gun mode kibble as the stuff the triggers, the handles, and he still is an implement. He's still kind of a target master, but you don't have to worry about scale. I think, and you wouldn't have like tank kibble hanging off, or plane kibble or helicopter kibble. I think a turret would be the perfect updated. And it kind of works with the Galvatron upgrade too, because he goes from being a turret that's in place when he's in that mode to being a cannon which can move. So it's like I think a turret is perfect. Megatron should be a turret.
Have you seen Hearts of Steel Megatron where he's a cannon?
I have not, but that sounds incredible. I'll put up an image on screen. Hold on, I'll put up the image in this lovely green field, and then I will react to it as if I'm seeing it now. Wow, what wonder. From Chargemus LB on Instagram, while it does have some highlights to it, the aligned continuity is an overall mess. I think the thing that makes the aligned continuity an overall mess is the fact that they tried to make it one continuity.
Honestly, I think it's the games. I think the video games are what mess it up. Everything else, like, so Prime pretty much leads into RID-15. RID-15 works pretty well with Rescue Bots. That's all nice and dandy. But then you get the Aligned novels and the video games. And we talked a little bit about this in mine, where the games are just so grimdark compared to the things that come after it. And so I think if you remove the games and they're their own and then you have Prime and etc. as the Aligned continuity, there you go. That's it.
While we're on Prime, I was under the impression that Transformers Prime was a very well-liked show. However, all of you did not seem to agree. From @theskeleton3109 on YouTube, Transformers Prime, in my opinion, is hot garbage until the last season, and I really despise the designs. The only ones I like are the Predacons, Breakdown, and Knockout. From Desperado West, Transformers Prime was exceptionally mid. War for Cybertron games are peak. From Skahenya, animated's better than Prime. From Jackash Mope, Prime Optimus is the most boring Optimus. In parentheses, he is the sexiest. So, yeah, I feel like we've really, as a fandom, it seems to be very divisive. It seems like you either are in love with Prime or you want to set Prime on fire.
I don't like Transformers Prime. I'll like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a piece of media that is fine. It was an acceptable show at the time. I watched it when I was a lad. And I don't know, like, as I've gotten older and I've rewatched it, I'm like, I don't care for this.
Yeah.
People were just like enamored by the fact that it existed.
I think the thing that really gets me about Prime is how visually uninteresting it is. The like gray lighting on everything, it's so washed out.
I think that's why people think the red car guy, I forget his name, but he's a red car and he's Knockout. Yeah, he's voiced by Timmy's dad. I think that's why people think he's so visually interesting, why that design has like held, is because he is bright red.
It's because he has any colors.
He looks, yeah, like he look like same thing with RC. She's very blue, so like those two characters being those vibrant colors against that nothing color back of lighting is like, yes, these guys stand out. I want those ones.
I think Prime suffered from trying too hard to be the Bayverse, because it copies a lot of like little points. It copies design aesthetics. You know, Bumblebee's mute there too. Optimus is the long nose truck instead of the flat nose truck. And I feel like just the visuals, like everyone being kind of muted colors, is also very Bayverse. And I feel like it suffered coming out in that time when the Bayverse was the popular thing.
I think if it was like a few years down the line, like where the Prime Wars trilogy had released, and even if they looked like those Prime Wars figures, I think you would have ended up with like a better show. Yeah. Or at least a more visually interesting show.
More enjoyable to watch for sure. Regarding though but he is the sexiest, I think the Prime fandom has to be the horniest.
Okay, yeah, facts. The amount of people I've ran into that are in my Discord that are simping over like Knockout and Starscream is scary.
Yeah. I feel like good for you if it was your awakening. I think a lot of people who are now into Twinks had their moment of realization watching Transformers Prime, because Starscream and Knockout are some Prime Twink material. All right, we're into the final three. From memes and artwork on Instagram, Transformers Prime Soundwave is a great design, but not a great Soundwave design. I don't think I agree.
I love the satellite or surveillance drone alt mode take for Soundwave.
Yeah.
I think it makes way more sense than what is he? He's like a storm chaser van usually. That's kind of dumb.
I think if you're very into the G1 look, then you're probably more into Soundwaves who turn into vans, just because it lends itself to looking more blocky like he does in G1. But I definitely feel like the Revenge of the Fallen design is pretty cool, and the drone is so sleek.
Yeah.
And he's never been more menacing, I think, than in Prime.
It makes sense. He's the communications officer. It makes sense he'd be some sort of surveillance thing. He's also usually depicted as like an espionage guy because of the cassettes. So
yeah.
It makes way more sense to me than a van.
From Salt and Vinegar, spelled with an O, on YouTube, when it comes to toys, fun is more important than accuracy. I think this goes back to a lot of what we were talking about before, but I agree 100%. Like, I would rather a toy have kind of a janky alt mode than be miserable to transform.
Yeah, facts. Like, I will pick up, if someone tells me, like, hey, I know that this character, like, you have no attachment to this character, or, you know, whatever continuity, but this is like the best figure from whatever toy line. It is the most fun. I will probably go out of my way to pick it up.
Yeah.
If they say if it's like that highly praised, if it's that fun.
And the final hot take from Durgrat on YouTube. Hot take, y'all deserve more subs. Any disagreements there?
Oh no, I think they should click that button right now.
Yeah, I think they should maybe hit the bell, the like button.
Maybe go to thumbs up.
Maybe go to my Kickstarter where we'll get into that in another video. Well, I have to be getting out of this field before the authorities arrive, and I'm pretty sure Nod has a hot date to go on. Thank you for tuning in for our Transformers hot takes. I'm sorry we didn't get to everyone's. Hopefully we'll be able to do some more some other time. Be ready for more collabs. Be ready for more videos from both of us. Please check out Nod's channel. Bots Obsession is a great reviewer. Thank you, Nod.
Thank you.
See you next time.